In the headlines, Ethiopia accused WHO Director General Tedros Adhanom of using his office to advance his personal political interest. Sudanese police fired tear gas against protesters. Hello there, welcome to ETV News. I am Grum Tariku. Ethiopia accused the WHO Director General Tedros Adhanom of using his office to advance his personal political interest. In a statement issued late yesterday, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs reminded the international community that Adhanom has not lived up to the integrity and professional expectations required from his office and position. Thus, the TPLF-turned WHO Director General has been spreading harmful misinformation and compromised WHO's reputation, independence and credibility, it said. It has been interfering in the internal affairs of Ethiopia, including Ethiopia's relations with the state of Eritrea, as well as continues as an active member and supporter of TPLF that is proscribed as terrorist group by the Ethiopian Parliament. Meanwhile, the permanent mission of Ethiopia to the UN has urged WHO Director General to immediately restrain himself from all matters concerning Ethiopia. Partisan and politically and personally motivated staff, blindsided from serving their global roles, curtail the most needed work of UN agencies, it said in a tweet yesterday. The Government Communications Service also expressed the interest in a statement for its concern over the negative and unfair remarks by the WHO Director General about the current situation in Ethiopia. While the terrorist group TPLF invaded the Amhara and Afar regions and looted hospitals, medical centers, schools, and universities, killed and raped civilians, international institutions such as WHO remained mute, it said. The Ethiopian diaspora expresses keenness to utilize the ample potential of the country in science, technology, and innovation sectors. The remark was made yesterday on the consultation forum among the diaspora community and the private sector. The diaspora urged the government to revise policies and strategies for creating conducive atmosphere for investors. Jerusalem Bazaar reports.
Following to the calls by Ethiopian Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed to the Ethiopian diaspora and friends of Ethiopia to visit Ethiopia and witnessing the reality of the country to the global community, many of them came to Ethiopia to witnessing this reality to the international community and discussed with other private and government officials on different issues of the country. Therefore, today on this move, Ethiopian diaspora has discussed with other private and government officials on science and technology and innovation sector in Ethiopia to maximize their role in this sector. The forum indicated innovation in technology is among the priority areas of the 10-year perspective plan next to agriculture, manufacturing, tourism and mining. Ethiopian diasporas who have engaged on science, technology and innovation sector are part of the forum to share their experience, and they said Ethiopia has ample potential on the area.
The possibilities are infinite. So I encourage, it is for the taking. What you need to do is, when you need to think about it, is not just because you came to Europe and you came from the United States. Don't expect that things are going to be done like that here. But if you expect something like, why is this not happening in Ethiopia? Because where I come from, these things happen overnight. Well, you should not come in the first place. But if you come here and to be with your people and to help them out, they are living that same environment that you don't like every day of their life. So it is nothing for you to have patience and go through that motion. So come invest.
The potential is tremendous. I've been seeing the trend the last 6 years and 7 years or what have you, even more than that. Been studying what are the gaps, what are the opportunities. So the way I look at opportunities is, for example, you have the young generation that can be able to use technology, that can be able to actually create solutions. So on one side, you have both the supply side, which is talent. On the other side, you have the demand side. Ethiopia is in the next few years, I have a bold statement to make. If some of the policies that are currently in the pipeline, like STAR proclamation, the fintech policy, and all the other policies, this country would be the most highly desired country to come in and invest in and work with existing companies. So identify what you want, what you are capable of, then understand who does what better in the landscape, and then forge partnership.
The new Ethiopian diaspora community also expressed their readiness to invest in Ethiopia in the sector.
Red Fact Solutions Group is focused currently in the digital transformation infrastructure, security, focused on data center implementation, build, and design. So we have created a prefabricated design that is currently in customs or in the port. We're trying to get it in, right? And there's a lot of course, limitations, policy-related limitations, and we are trying to, work heavily with the minister or the government bodies on how to change these policies, right? But yes. Yeah, we are going to be operational in the next 2 or 3 months.
Our company is focused in 2 areas. One is in telecommunication area. Most of our members had experience in this field when we were here, and also the second sector is in IT. We have more than 10-15 years experience in IT field in US, so we need to share that experience with our partners in locally.
The Diaspora Forum has been established to connect the diaspora community with the public and private sectors to enable them investing in the area and to maximize their all-rounder support to their homeland Ethiopia.
Deputy Prime Minister and Foreign Minister of Ethiopia, Demeqe Mekonnen, had exchanges of phone calls with Foreign Minister of Norway, Anniken Huitfeldt. The two sides discussed the recent positive developments that have been taking place in Ethiopia. Congratulating the Foreign Minister for Norway's presidency at the United Nations Security Council for the month of January, the Deputy Prime Minister and Foreign Minister expressed hope that Norway will use its presidency to constructively carry out well-balanced and reasonable outlook, which will reflect the commendable measures that Ethiopian government has been undertaking lately. Demeqe further stated his firm belief that Norway would play a positive role during his presidency at the United Nations Security Council. Anniken Huitfeldt further affirmed that Norway does not have any plans to make Ethiopia an agenda at the United Nations. In a related development, the time has come for Ethiopia to achieve lasting national interests through diplomatic struggle. The remark came while the Ministry of Foreign Affairs clarified various issues in its weekly statement on yesterday. The spokesperson, Dina Mufti, reiterated Ethiopia is now gaining diplomatic victories. Johannes van Town has compiled the following story. Take a look.
Now the status of some Western governments which have been putting a lot of pressure on Ethiopia have changed their minds and started behaving softly.
Due to the transfer, due to the change situation on the ground, especially on the military front, and the diplomatic efforts underway by Ethiopian citizens, including the diaspora, there is a change of attitude on the part of some foreign powers that were exerting undue pressure on Ethiopia, and there are changes of attitude as well, and we hope this change will go extra mile and things will totally turn around.
In a recent telephone conversation between Prime Minister of Ethiopia and the US President Joe Biden, it was stated that the two countries have agreed to strengthen bilateral relations and resume talks, which is helping other countries redouble their efforts and correct their misconduct about Ethiopia.
The telephone conversation between His Excellency Dr. Abiy Ahmed, the Prime Minister, and President Biden of the United States, where the Prime Minister had been able to brief the President on the genesis of the law enforcement, the level, the status of the humanitarian delivery and the human rights protections, and the ongoing reconstruction throughout the country. The outcome of that telephone conversation was that both sides affirmed their commitment to continue engagements and work towards strengthening bilateral relations between the two countries. As you know, the relationship between the United States and Ethiopia has been there for over 100 years. It's a historic relationship, and there is a commitment on the part of both leadership to further strengthen that relationship.
The ambassador said this in response to a question from ATV regarding the institutionalization of the diaspora movement.
The need for non-governmental institutions for diaspora. Well, why not? But that is not the mandate of the government. The non-governmental organizations should create themselves, right? So it's not, but by law they are allowed to do it. So these are informal institutions, these are non-governmental institutions. The diaspora can organize itself in any way, in any form, because they have it actually. But it should not be the effort of the government, but we can indirectly support them. The embassies are out there to support even non-governmental institutions. So diaspora can organize themselves in non-governmental form. Necessarily there should not be organizations that are sponsored by the government.
It is to be recalled that the Ethiopian government challenged Ethiopians and friends of Ethiopia living in the diaspora to come to their homeland and continue strengthening their solidarity. The diaspora community who have come to Ethiopia is participating in different symposiums aimed to strengthening Pan-Africanist movement, investment in Ethiopia, and rehabilitation activities.
It's now time for trending, and I'm now joined in the studio by Tigist Ernesa, and welcome to the studio, Tigist.
Thanks for having
So,
me.
what's new over the last 24 hours?
Over the last 24 hours is that WHO's head, Tedros Adhanom's comment about Tigray's war was about all over picked by different media houses, and which is very different from the reality on the ground. Ethiopia argues about that, and the reality in the ground is pretty much different about a lot of stuff. For instance, health facilities have been destroyed, looted, and distracted, but UN failed to say anything about it. So this is what's
the first one.
Yeah.
So the problem was there in Afar and in Amhara region, but the WHO has said nothing about the destruction of health facilities in those regions. Whereas now he was talking about the total blockade by the Ethiopian government, which is not the reality, right?
Yes.
So what else do you have?
The other is that about Nobel Peace Prize winning, they say that there is an article that's going trending over the internet about the Prime Minister's responsibility, and as per the Alfred Nobel's will, it should be about benefiting mankind, but the Prime Minister, literally, as we can see, has been trying to create peace with Eritrea, as it comes to
the international community.
Yeah.
So the issue is, the point is, one of the strategies of the international media has been that a direct attack against the personality of the Prime Minister.
Yeah.
So we can consider that this can be part of that strategy of defaming the personality of the Prime Minister of Ethiopia, while he has an overwhelming support nationally in the country.
Yeah.
Okay.
And there is another one about. It seems like there is a policy shift about the Americans. They're saying that TPLF should stop the war and then exile in amnesty. That's what Herman J. Cohen says.
So there seems to be having a shift in that regard.
Yes. Yes.
Thank you, Tigist, for your explanations.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
ልትጎበኙ የሚያጓጓ በርካታ ነገር ይኖረናል። አሁን ቀጣይ ጉዟችሁ ወደዛ ይሆናል። መልካም ቆይታ አብራችሁ ነው ልኳስ
Yes sir.
Oromia dawana wala diaspora
Volcanoes, acidic pools, and salt lakes.
You are watching ETV News. As Afar and Amhara regions in Ethiopia are still picking the pieces after months of looting and destruction by the terrorist TPLF, the head of the WHO, Tedros Adhanom himself, TPLF has come up with yet another blatant lie. Ever shameless in his approach, Tedros Adhanom went to the extent of describing the humanitarian situation in Tigray as a total blockade, claiming that he has never seen anything as hellish as that situation. This is a selective outrage meant to divert the world's attention from shocking disaster in Afar and Amhara regions over the above abuse of power to hoodwink the international community into the TPLF's line of thinking. Take a look.
The TPLF is still dancing in the war camp, digging grounds for anything that might prove its make-believe hell on earth of Tigray. One of the die-hard disciples of this terrorist group, Tedros Adhanom, went to the extent of claiming that the situation in war-torn Tigray is total blockade, adding the northernmost state is totally deprived of humanitarian assistance. It is to be recalled that the Ethiopian government has time and again expressed its commitment for unfettered humanitarian access to Tigray. Needless to say, it was the TPLF which a few months back abducted UN convoys, stealing some of them for its war effort. Fabricated lies may cause temporary perplexity, but cannot alter reality. Accusing others to cover up their crimes is not a new strategy for the TPLF. It is still trying to blame others for the war it provoked by attacking the Federal Army camp of Northern Command, dumping the dead bodies of its youth that have been killed on the battlefield into the Tekeze River, and then turning around and making it look like they are innocent people massacred by others is the latest drama it has authored that failed to buy the funds it desperately wants. Adhanom's WHO fell silent when the TPLF troops completely destroyed health facilities in Afar and Amhara and turned the two states into living hells for the people.
War brought to TPLF 30 years of construction was destroyed. All economic gain, all technological advance, everything is ruined. Because of who? Because of greed and power of the TPLF.
He comes out now crying foul about Tigray, while the terrorist group TPLF invaded the Amhara and Afar and looted hospitals, medical centers, schools and universities, killing and raping civilians. International institutions such as the WHO remained mute. If at all, these institutions pressed ahead with their one-sided, biased perspective, ignoring all of the harm that the terrorist TPLF has inflicted upon the people of Amhara and Afar. While the TPLF invaded the two states with its daydream of retaking federal power in Addis Ababa, the WHO never bothered to issue a statement regarding pregnant mothers who had gone through agony, sick children who couldn't get medication, and those malnourished unable to get doctors. Repeating the same old lies spread by the TPLF, Adhanom twisted the facts, blaming the Ethiopian government for choking aid. Adhanom and several other TPLF are good at selective outrage. They rant and complain about a never-existing genocide in Tigray as far as the lies serves their interest. The war crimes and genocide in Afar and Amhara doesn't bother them in the slightest. Tedros was to be sued for abuse of power by International Criminal Court. He was also accused in Westchester in New York in his mishandling response to the coronavirus pandemic. The Ethiopian government is regularly discussing with stakeholders and implementing different corrective steps to guarantee that the people of Tigray get uninterrupted aid. Even while the Ethiopian government has toned down and has shown gestures for a negotiated settlement for the war, the TPLF continues to provoke Ethiopians in such places as Gidan, Alamata, Kobo, Maitsevri, Wajrat and others. The terrorist TPLF has obstructed the humanitarian support to the people of Tigray.